eyes are on 5 battleground states, still too close to call. Joe Biden feeling momentum on his side.
This will not be my victory alone.
But the Trump campaign launching legal challenges in several states.
The state of the race right now, plus our experts standing by.
And later in the skinny,
Ed Cory Booker has the IQ of a dog turd.
Politicians' verdict is Thursday, November 5th.
From ABC News, this is World News Now.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. Vote counts in crucial states still going on at this hour. We have a lot to get to, so let's get right to it. The race for the White House still hanging in the balance 2 days after Election Day.
And let's get right to the map. Former Vice President Joe Biden is leading President Trump in electoral votes after wins in Michigan and Wisconsin on Wednesday, and several battleground states have yet to be called.
The president's lead in Georgia has been shrinking over the past few hours as more returns come in.
Biden is also closing in on Trump's lead in Pennsylvania, where they were still counting more than 750,000 mail-in margin in Nevada, with Biden on top by just over 8,000 votes. The winner there is expected to be announced today.
As the votes are tabulated, tensions are boiling over, like here in Phoenix, where supporters of the president claim the vote is being stolen. It's laying bare the bitter political divide across the country.
This morning, frustrations mounting as America anxiously waits for election results. In Portland, Oregon, a riot declared overnight. The National Guard called in after protests turned violent. In Las Vegas, Trump supporters holding a Stop the Steal rally.
We want a free, fair, and transparent election, and the Democrats are trying to steal it right out from underneath us.
The unrest coming as 5 states remain too close to call, including Arizona, where Biden holds a slight lead.
And I can tell you that the attitude at the White House tonight is maniacally focused on Arizona from a political perspective. That's where they think they can break through and create a new conversation.
In Pennsylvania, the counting continues. The Secretary of State saying they're ahead of schedule.
The counties have been counting around the clock. Everybody's tired but incredibly dedicated to getting this done.
And now the race tightening in Georgia.
Ballots in there that are flagged to be adjudicated by the vote review panel. Those have to be dealt with before you can publish that batch. So the vote review panel will go through and they'll see any contest that's on a ballot that has some question as to the way it was marked. The vote review panel then decides voter intent.
Now confusion over when Georgia will finish reporting results. This will happen by Friday. But officials in Gwinnett County say they expect a final tally by Saturday. Joe Biden this morning feeling confident he will win once the votes are counted.
Every vote must be counted. No one's going to take our democracy away from us. Not now, not ever. We, the people, will not be silenced. We, the people, will not be bullied. We, the people, will not surrender. I know this won't be easy. I'm not naive, but I also know this as well. To make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as enemies. What brings us together as Americans is so much stronger than anything that can tear us apart.
While the Biden campaign has not officially declared
partnership and relationship help the Trump campaign understand their numbers. Before we all got to nights like this and the country's learning about the counties and so forth, the campaigns have their own personal histories with knowing where do their voters reside, who do they work and spend the most money to draw out, and then you layer in a Republican governor like Doug Ducey who has his own electoral history in his state. And then you bring in the Cindy McCain factor. She, of course, came out in support of Joe Biden, but retaining her Republican credentials, not getting involved in other races, speaking to Republican
polls closed. Another suit in Michigan seeks to stop ballot counting there, claiming the campaign hasn't been given meaningful access to some counting locations. And early Wednesday morning, the president going even further.
Be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop.
Legal legal experts say at this point, the Supreme Court will not get involved in the way the president wants.
I don't think the Supreme Court's very likely to resolve this election, and I think for our democracy, that's a very good thing.
In Pennsylvania, the decision to allow ballots mailed on or before Election Day to be counted if they arrive by Friday still facing legal challenges. The president's lawyers filing with the Supreme Court seeking to join a pending lawsuit on the issue, writing, this court, not the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, should have the final say. The state's attorney general disagrees.
Separate occasions, the Supreme Court didn't step in. This should remain with the state, and the state says these ballots should be counted.
The Supreme Court could also possibly rule on matters involving potential recounts, as we saw in Florida in 2000. Once ballots in this election are all tallied, the count in some states could be so tight it would likely trigger automatic recounts. In others, the candidates can request them, which we're already seeing in Wisconsin. Though the votes are still being tallied, President Trump's campaign manager writes in a statement that they have serious doubts about the validity of the results there, adding the president is well within the threshold to request a recount, already legal in Wisconsin.
That's a win-win.
Joe Biden's legal team, meanwhile, says they can prepare to defend the vote and make sure every eligible ballot is counted.
Did we finish the House analysis?
No, thanks to Marcy Gonzalez in Delaware.
There was some good news out of this election for both Democrats and Republicans. We spoke
I made a way more high-res version of the iconic
Joe, thank you so much for
when he froze during yesterday's stream using an AI upscaler. Let's did we finish the House analysis?
No, thanks to Marcy Gonzalez in Delaware.
There was some good news out of this election for both Democrats and Republicans.
I made a way more high-res version of the iconic when he froze during yesterday's stream using an AI upscaler. Did we finish the House analysis?
No, thanks to Marcy Gonzalez in Delaware.
There was some good news out of this election for both Democrats and Republicans.
We forecast for the next 4 years is
we know that this was an unprecedented year. We are dealing with a pandemic, racial reckoning, so much happening in the year of 2020. But I have to ask you now in this post-election analysis, what were the lessons, of this election for Democrats and for Republicans?
Democrats, the lesson for them is your future is in the state. And we saw that in Georgia, even if there's not so much for Democrats, although it looks like it's heading in that direction in this post-election. You see that in Arizona, your future is with candidates of color, the communities of color, and that's where you have to, that's where you can build your party. It's not in the Pennsylvania of the world. That's not it. The Republicans, look at they got 3 million fewer votes than the Democrats in the electoral level. You need to broaden your tent. Trump going from that. That's where, yes, Trump took everyone in Florida, but that's sort of a finite stop in South Florida. And they did most of that mostly by trying to scare people to say Joe Biden is a socialist and he's buddies with Castro. That's not a long-term strategy.
Joe Garrett Foley with the San Francisco Chronicle, senior political writer there. We also spoke to him about just kind of how unprecedented this election is when it comes to the way people are voting. We know it's coming in 3 ways. There was the early vote, there was the mail-in vote, and there was the in-person voting. And that is why a lot of Americans are frustrated. They want these results right now, but that is what is delaying the process. Different states, different rules, and so some states didn't even start counting until yesterday.
What's interesting is that as people are frustrated about the fact that the mail-in voting tabulation is taking a while, I think that it seems that people are forgetting also we're in a pandemic. We know that there are parts of the country that are more the pandemic than others. As far as the lessons learned here in New York versus obviously in the middle of the country when it comes to how dense the population is. And so this takes a while, especially in a densely populated area. And if people have the option, the legal option to mail in those votes, that was their right. There was a option, and it takes some time to count those votes, and every vote should be counted. Coming up, we'll check out this morning's other news headlines, including a new COVID-19 record.
That's a surprise for 2 kayakers. A humpback whale right beneath them.
And later on the skinny, what Mariah Carey just did to jumpstart this year's Christmas season.
Inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
Breaking news, context, analysis.
With today's extraordinary news cycle,
Now is the perfect time for ABC News Live.
A streaming news game changer. The time is now for ABC News Live. Get it. Streaming in.
another week in America, a country facing a new test now. Wuhan Airport, almost no one here. The last flight out of Rome.
This is the nursing home just outside Seattle. Dozens of people were just rushed off this cruise ship.
This is ground zero.
It is shut down.
Another ambulance just pulled out.
Now they're headed to the hospital.
Time is of the essence.
You can see the ship behind me.
This is the first time tests have been done here.
Morning, afternoon, evening, late night, 24/7. ABC News, there for you. Friday nights, 9/8 Central. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime. 2020. Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
Protesters calling for every vote to be counted sprung up in New York, Chicago, Boston, and other major cities. They're in response to the Trump campaign filing lawsuits in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan regarding the ballot counting procedures in those states. The campaign is also calling for a recount in Wisconsin. The president has threatened to take the results to the Supreme Court.
Stocks posted strong post-election gains despite the uncertainty over the presidential race. The Dow gained 367 points Wednesday, but the Nasdaq was the biggest gainer, soaring 430 points, its biggest gain in more than 6 months. Analysts say the advances were fueled by a focus on the benefits of divided government.
Earlier, we were saying we're still in a pandemic, and here is a big reminder. The U.S. has just set a coronavirus record with its highest number of new cases in a single day. More than 103,000 new cases were reported Wednesday. 7 states also set records for the number of people hospitalized. Minnesota's governor is requesting federal help for staffing at hospitals and long-term care facilities. More than 233,000 people in the U.S. have died from this virus.
Rescue crews brought people to safety in Honduras during severe flooding from the remnants of Hurricane Eta. The storm is blamed for at least 4 deaths in Central America. Forecasts call for Eta to turn back into the Caribbean and gain strength while moving toward Florida. It's expected to arrive there as a tropical storm on Sunday or Monday.
2 kayakers survived a big surprise along the Central California coast, and it was all caught on camera.
They were on the ocean off of Villa Beach Monday, watching whales in the distance when a humpback breached the surface right underneath them. The video makes it appear as though they went into the whale's mouth, but one woman said they were dumped underwater. Both are okay. Oh my God, it does.
Call me Ishmael.
Let's see this video for the first time.
Look, it's like right in there. I really thought they went in there.
Yeah. No, I can see from the corner. So the funny part is usually we see these videos and it's like, oh, close call. And now it was a little too close.
That's really, really close. The Harbor Patrol actually said they were lucky to be alive. We need the Harbor Patrol to tell us that. All right, when we come back, we'll update you on where we are in this presidential race.
Plus, our deep divisions. Is it just part of being American? We'll ask a presidential historian next. You're watching World News Now.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan?
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh. Did you kill your wife? And I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer.
Now, new details, stunning new interviews.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
Next, the new
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
John, did you kill your wife? And I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer. He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell. Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
John, did you kill your wife? And I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer. He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
Results with the most trusted team of experts.
She just one night vanished.
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are
needed to deny President Trump a second term. He's currently leading the president 253 to 214 for winning Wisconsin and Michigan. Several battleground states are still played, including Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. Trump's path to victory has dramatically narrowed.
This year's presidential election underscores some of America's deepest divisions.
But it also showed that as a nation, we are advancing on other fronts. Earlier, we spoke with ABC News contributor and presidential historian Mark Updegrove.
I want to ask you, while we await the result of this presidential election, 2020's election has already been history-making, from the country electing the first openly transgender state senator to two openly gay black men being elected to Congress. Can you elaborate on the significance of this?
It's incredible. We're going to see more women in Congress than we've ever seen as well. And our elected officials are looking more like America, and it reflects our coming of age, accepting people for who they are, and opening our election process such that folks like this can be viable candidates. It's a very, very positive sign for our country.
And Mark, we've seen divisions, deep divisions in this country, obviously, in the history of this country. Think about the divisions that are happening from coast to coast right now. And you look at this election, you look how close it is, how divided the states are. Discuss that level of division in this country compared to the 60s and compared to before even the Civil War.
Like this can be viable. Sure. Well, in many ways, we're a melting pot, right? You come to America for new beginnings, right? And people of different colors and ethnicities and religions and ideology, right? People come here to be themselves, to live a life full of liberty. And that means there's inherent division, right? We're not the same. So we clash very frequently. That's a natural part of who we are as a country. So frequently throughout our country, we see those divisions fester. But the very best leaders in America appeal to our better ages. They bring us together. They unite us. Franklin Roosevelt, during the Great Depression, said, we have a rendezvous with destiny. We're going to get through this depression together. We're going to, in so doing, save democracy, and then we're going to go on and win World War II. And that's exactly what they did, what the greatest generation did. John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. He was appealing to our better angels, getting us to think about something bigger than ourselves.
We know now that already Joe Biden has surpassed getting the number of votes than any other presidential candidate in history. Can you explain the significance of that as well?
Well, it's remarkable. It reflects not just Joe Biden's strength as a candidate, but also the fact that this, as you said earlier, this is an incredibly consequential election. And people realize that our fate is in our hands. And they put skin in the game by showing up at the polls.
Our thanks to Mark. Now, it wasn't the blue wave that Democrats were expecting, but as for right now, at this hour, Biden still has Arizona, which is the state who was able to flip Clinton in 2016. Coming up, three senators who just got roasted on Jimmy Kimmel.
Joe Biden's strength as a candidate, but also his size. All of that.
ABC News Live, 24/7 streaming news source, ABC News. stream whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you. ABC News Live. It's that easy to go there.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say, start here. The daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. Start here, free on Apple Podcasts.
Change is difficult, but this is my heart. This is where I
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say,
The Patriots moved again in ABC Paradise. Network premieres Sunday at 9 on National Geographic.
ABC News honors winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including the most prestigious of overall excellence in television. ABC News, America's #1 news choice.
The heroes who stopped the killings, who held the city of Austin hostage for 19 days. The clues, the Home Depot videos, that truck, and the agent who connected the dots.
It was exactly the vehicle that we were looking for.
Inside the investigation, the takedown of the bomb. Now streaming on Hulu.
ABC News, America's #1 news source. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward. And download the app now and sign up to get important breaking news alerts wherever you are.
Another week in America, a country facing a new test now.
Wuhan Airport, almost no one here.
This is the nursing home just outside Seattle. Dozens of people were just rushed off the streets.
Ground zero.
It is shut down.
Another ambulance just pulled out. Time is of the essence.
You can see the ship behind me.
The first time tests have been done here.
24/7. ABC News. There for you. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Time for the skinny, and yes, going to break, I was like, I'm wearing a tie. For World News Now, I'm typically like relaxed. We do the skinny, I don't have a tie on. We save the tie for America This Morning later in the morning.
See, here I thought you were on brand. You were like, I'm going to do a skinny tie for the skinny.
No. It's because I'm like wearing a tie, and it feels weird because it's World News Now. But you know what? It's like a couple of days after the election. We might have to make a projection, and I got to look,
I like
business
that.
ready.
Or he just forgot.
Let's start with Jimmy Kimmel's Mean Tweets, Election Edition. Still talking about this dang election.
Yes, Kimmel gave a select group of politicians, you've heard of them, Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, and Elizabeth Warren, the chance to roast themselves on national TV. And here's how it went.
Elizabeth Warren is what happens when Jan Brady grows up.
If John Kerry's head were to be carved on a mountain, it would be actual size. Mount Rushmore, here I come.
At Mike Bloomberg saying he's running for president, like finding out Nickelback is playing the Super Bowl halftime show. Anthony Scaramucci is what happens when you hold lasagna served on a Sopranos DVD makes it wish upon a storm to be a real boy.
Oh, that's funny.
Not Nancy Pelosi. They got everyone. I love that people are such a good sport about this.
Yeah, definitely.
Even athletes, celebrities, and politicians.
Anthony
Next to the very late night so many of us spend on election night.
And perhaps no one suffered as much as our friend Gail King. Good morning, Gail. For your canary yellow dress that she admitted she did. A 5-day soup fast to squeeze into. Gail admits that she ended up sleeping in that dress.
And her Spanx, she tells Variety she just caught some shut-eye right there in the studio. Athletes, celebrities, and politicians. Next to the very late night so many of us spent on I was following her journey and rooting for her because that dress is a killer. And then she was like, about wearing the dress. 2 days in a row. And I was like,
Game next to the 5-year-old cartoon superfan who just set a world
and her
record.
young Sharishi Nabraj of India broke right there in the sun by identifying 50 cartoon characters in just 1 minute.
I was following her journey.
And finally, we all know Santa Claus shows up on December 25th, or the Queen of Christmas has already got around.
Streams of her hit #1 song, Once a Christmas Is You, skyrocketed earlier this week.
The 1994 Christmas classic surged 160% November 1st and second.
We didn't even say Mariah Carey. Just Queen of Christmas. Election coverage next.
In times like these, news making moments. ABC News.
President Trump meeting face to face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un.
The president.
You trust him? I do trust him. I think he trusts me.
The 1994 Christmas classic surged 160%.
Her father had taken her into his house while he was there.
Just is
So the idea of locking up presents of ideas.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a model? Very strange.
The show.
What do you wish you could tell your three White House staff?
Melania Trump.
You think there's still people there that you can't trust? Still working on it.
Michael Cohen.
So he's still alive.
Yes.
It's a big statement.
And now, in a year with so much on the line, we're right there.
Good evening tonight from Washington, a very busy news night.
America's #1 news source, ABC News, straightforward. Friday nights, 9/8 Central, true crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt, true crime, 2020, Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source from ABC News. Breaking news, live events, streaming nonstop. Original breakthrough storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN. And it's all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you. ABC News Live. It's that easy to go there.
I've been quested to bring this one back to its kind.
You know this is no place for a child.
Wherever I go, he goes.
The Mandalorian, new season now streaming only on Disney+.
This morning on World News Now, the presidential race too close to call.
Vote counting in some states continuing around the clock. Joe Biden says it's clear he'll reach the necessary 270 electoral votes. We'll look at the states still undecided. New numbers coming in overnight.
Plus, frustrations mounting as America anxiously waits for election results, protests in several cities, and the Trump campaign filing lawsuits with mail-in ballots taking center stage.
Plus, stop all that doom scrolling. We're spotlighting the hilarious Election Day memes trending online this morning as everyone's waiting for more results to come in. It is Thursday, November 5th.
From ABC News, this is World News Now.
Pumetamba no likulubi kuma problem. Pumetamba no likulubi kuma problem. Zoba biluka papa simba ngube sokolo ngikuta mai emu mai muta papa uta muza muti shofaka. Singa mo mai kote muti kitamwa tension.
You're not the only one. Speaking of memes, there were so many journalists who were like, I hit refresh.
People look even from Bale Biki, you could have more so no mobility. Mobile to school, that doesn't look as no Malaysia Balanga, Bongo tea, was more busy. Also, an accident. Whom we pace that is around 2 was to look to Zamba peso, Botica Papa Kilibanda, was to look to Zamba peso, Botica Papa Kilibanda.
Trump stands at 214, facing a narrow path to victory. In the red state of Georgia, the president is locked in a March high of 3,000 votes ahead of Biden. Officials in the Atlanta area say they're counting 3,000 votes per hour.
Biden is just 8,000 votes ahead. Biden has a 51-to-48% lead in Arizona. Trump is gaining ground.
Overnight, hundreds of Trump supporters gathered outside a Maricopa County election site in Phoenix chanting, the vote as workers inside tally mail-in ballots. ABC's Will Johnson is there.
Mona and Kenneth, Joe Biden is still maintaining that slight lead here in the state of Arizona, but both campaigns are kind of working their mathematical jiu-jitsu to try to get a grip on the numbers here and find a path forward. Let's take a step back and talk about what everybody's waiting on here in the state of Arizona. Hundreds of thousands of absentee ballots. Now, these are not ballots that were sent in early as part of the early voting here in the state. Instead, these were ballots that voters dropped off in person either on Election Day or the weekend prior. The Biden campaign says, look, if most of these ballots are coming from Maricopa County, this is a county that has started to lean to the left in recent years, and in this election, Joe Biden has been outperforming Donald Trump in this county. So they like the numbers and the odds for that. For the Republicans, they point to the fact that if people were dropping off their ballots on Election Day, they felt as though they were going to have a higher Election Day turnout and outnumber by the left voters by a ratio of 4-1. So both campaigns are trying to work the numbers and find that path forward. A lot at stake here in the state of Arizona. Kenneth, Mona.
Thanks to Will Johnson. And with no clear winner, Joe Biden is calling for unity while President Trump is accusing Democrats of trying to steal the election.
So-called poll challengers protested at this polling site in Detroit, shouting, "Stop the count." ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more on the race from Washington.
As the votes are counted, a confident Joe Biden not declaring victory, but says a win is within his reach.
I'm not here to declare that we've won, but I am here to report when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners.
The former vice president feels good about Arizona and Pennsylvania.
Indeed, Senator Harris and I are on track to win more votes than any ticket in the history of this country.
For President Trump, on election night, his team was building momentum with wins in the all-important battleground states of Florida and Ohio.
The state of Florida and his 29 electoral votes will go to Donald Trump. We are now projecting that Donald Trump will win the state of Ohio.
But his window to win the White House for a second term could be closing, with Biden holding on to razor-thin leads in several crucial states. Trump still has a path to victory, but that positive outcome now appears a bit more daunting. But Trump, like Biden, believes he'll prevail.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
The race has not been called yet, and Trump is already readying for a fight. And this delay was to be expected. It could go on for another day or even longer, as many states are still left counting the massive amount of mail-in ballots. Kenneth, Mona?
Andrew, thank you. And President Trump is gearing up for a legal battle that he hopes will end up in the Supreme Court. His campaign has already started filing a series of lawsuits challenging ballots in several states. ABC's Andrew Fujii has more.
This morning, a legal fight just beginning in the battlegrounds. The Trump campaign filing a stack of lawsuits amid a tense race for the White House, with mail-in ballots taking center stage.
This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court.
In Michigan, the president's team filing suit to stop ballot counting. The campaign also claiming it has not been provided meaningful access to several counting locations. In Wisconsin, the Trump team demanding a recount. Trump's campaign manager claiming in a statement that there are serious doubts about the validity of the results. In Georgia, where the president was slightly ahead overnight, his team is seeking to order Chatham County to store and account for all ballots received after the polls closed.
The legal strategy seems to boil down to this: stopping the count in places where Donald Trump is ahead, Pennsylvania, continuing to count or counting again in places where he is behind.
But the biggest legal battle brewing is in Pennsylvania, where it could be Friday before all the votes are counted. The Keystone State already in a legal fight with Republican leaders over the decision to allow ballots mailed on or before Election Day to be counted if they arrive by Friday. The Trump campaign said it sued to temporarily stop the vote count in Pennsylvania over what it calls a lack of transparency.
These attempts to subvert the democratic process are simply disgraceful.
Just hours after the polls closed Tuesday, the president defiantly declared victory.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Trump doubling down on that declaration on Twitter Wednesday. We have claimed for electoral vote purposes the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which won't allow legal observers, the state of Georgia, and the state of North Carolina, each one of which has a big Trump lead. Additionally, we hereby claim the state of Michigan, adding that Michigan saw, quote, a large number of secretly dumped ballots, as has been widely reported. That claim flagged by Twitter as misleading. Even the Senate Majority Leader took issue with the president.
Claiming you win the election is different from finishing the counting.
Despite the campaign's legal push, experts say it's unlikely to have a serious impact.
You need to have a legal argument to go to the Supreme Court.
If it came down to one state and there was one count and it was all coming down to that, that's where a lawsuit could really make or break the entire election.
Republicans have also launched legal challenges in Nevada over absentee ballots. 85% of the vote has already been counted there. State law allows for the defeated candidate to ask for a recount, no matter what. Kenneth, Mona.
Our thanks to Andrea there. Let's dig a little deeper into the potential court fight. There are questions about whether President Trump can mount a successful legal fight over the election count.
Earlier, we spoke with ABC News contributor, former Virginia Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, and former Hillary Clinton aide Amanda Renteria.
Barbara and Amanda, thank you for joining us. Barbara, let me start with you. Let me get your take on the path forward for the president. Does he have one? And does the Trump camp have a good legal argument right now in any of these outstanding states?
Well, I think the president's path is certainly narrowing, and we're getting more of an idea. These states are all close. I mean, we're 50-50 in all these states. I mean, you could have Georgia flip for Joe Biden. You could have Arizona flip from Joe Biden to the president. So I think the most important thing is we count the votes. I'm part of an organization that's bipartisan, that is focused on making sure we count every vote and soberly and seriously take this process to its natural conclusion so that whatever the result, people feel confident in it.
And Amanda, this question is for you. Democrats were hoping for a blowout in this election. Clearly, from what we're seeing right now, the two candidates are neck and neck. In the final days until the election, we saw that the president was holding twice as many rallies as Joe Biden was. Do you believe that Joe Biden could have been more aggressive in his campaigning?
I think it was important for Trump to do that because that is what he does in terms of bringing a rally together. It wouldn't have made sense for Biden. That's just not what their strategy was. It wasn't how he was portraying himself as a responsible leader. So I think it would have been really questionable had he switched his strategy at the end or really even taken that strategy throughout, given his measure. His message was, we are steady leadership. I have a plan. Here is what I would do. And so I think it fit for him. And soon enough, we'll know whether or not that worked to hold the blue wall and potentially actually grab as a responsible Arizona, Georgia. So we'll see how that turns out.
So, Barbara, it's 24 hours after the morning after Election Day. Is there a clearer picture about how the president was able to widen the Republican base there for him?
I certainly would have liked to see him do more of that, but he did increase support from Cuban community, Venezuelan community, Colombian community in Florida. He did expand in the African American community. So that's important. And I think with working people, he did have a strong turnout, and he just got more voters registered in a lot of states. But when I look at the fact that we held the Senate, that we have 60% of the state legislative seats, that we in particular in the House, we gained seats when many people thought we were going to win. And I attribute that to some great women and minority candidates, some of whom were also veterans. So I think we are going to have a more diverse Republican caucus, which I'm excited about. And I think they will bring a diversity of views that will be important going forward, not just in whatever is going to be the next administration, but long term for Republicans to grow, our caucus to really have a more diverse group of people across the country in all communities.
And as we wait for that big ticket item, we have to remember there are still other down ballot issues that need to be resolved as the voting continues in many of those battleground states.
Definitely. Well, coming up, the blue wave that never happened. Our powerhouse political roundtable weighs in.
But first, the rainbow wave that did happen, how the LGBTQ community managed to make significant inroads this election year.
And later, election night meets Devil Wears Prada. Social media weighs in with a fresh crop of political memes. You're watching World News Now.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Your mom said, comb your hair. Your dad told you, smarten up. Your dog is judging you right now. And your best friend just called you crazy. We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. Now imagine getting your news like that. No bull, no spin, just give it to me straight. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis, 18,000 tons. Patatas. Ismail? David.
Over ground zero from Hurricane Michael.
You can see just home after home.
David, thanks for meeting you.
This was your view.
My favorite view.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Friday nights, 9/8 Central. True crime. Cinematic. Real-life drama. Stunning. The unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime. 2020. Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
Another week in America, a country facing a new test now.
The Wuhan airport, almost no one here.
The last flight out of Rome.
This is the nursing home just outside Seattle. Dozens of people were just rushed off this cruise ship.
This is ground zero.
It is shut down.
Another ambulance just pulled out.
Now they're headed to the hospital.
Time is of the essence.
You can see the ship behind me.
This is the first time tests have been done here.
Morning, afternoon, evening, late night, 24/7. ABC News. There for you.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan?
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh, did you kill your wife? And I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer.
Now, new details, stunning new interviews.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
What will happen next? The new 2020 event, Friday night on ABC.
Breaking news, context, analysis.
With today's extraordinary news cycle,
Now is the perfect time for ABC News Live.
A streaming news game changer. The time is now for ABC News Live. Get it, streaming everywhere.
Welcome back. Taking a look at the races in Congress now. ABC News is showing Republicans hanging on to a 3-seat advantage with a number of contests still up for grabs as Democrats look to take control of the chamber.
One seat not changing hands is in Maine. Republican Susan Collins survived a major challenge from Democrat Sarah Gideon. Collins holds on for a 5th term, winning by 7 percentage points.
In the House, Republicans have a net gain of 5 seats so far. Democrats are trying to maintain their advantage in that chamber. More than a dozen races are considered toss-ups.
This election brought a number of firsts, where Sarah McBride is the first openly transgender state senator in the country. Tennessee now has its first openly LGBTQ lawmakers, with Tory Harris and Eddie Manis winning their races, and Taylor Small is Vermont's first openly transgender legislator.
One race that was a landslide victory took place in the northern Kentucky hamlet of Rabbit Hash.
That's right, Rabbit Hash. And that's where Wilbur, the French bulldog, has been elected mayor. He received more than 13,000 votes and defeated 16 other candidates.
Of course, the mayoral position is ceremonial in Rabbit Hash, and the election is actually a fundraiser for the local historical society. Wilbur will serve a 4-year term.
Wait, we were able to find out the results in Rabbit Hash before? Okay.
Listen, they voted early.
Yeah.
Like 5 a.m. when you walk the dog. Well, coming up, breaking news in the presidential race, new numbers, Justin.
Plus our Powerhouse Political Roundtable. You're watching World News Now.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Friday nights, 9/8 Central. True crime. Cinematic. Real-life drama. Stunning. The unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime. 2020. Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
Oh, look at this new sky.
Hey, clear sky, guys. Made it through.
Change is difficult, but this is my home. This is where I want to be.
I love that town. I'm not going to bail on it.
It's a big deal. New beginning.
Rebuilding Paradise. Network premiere Sunday at 9 on National Geographic.
Razor Crest, stand down.
I've been quested to bring this one back to its kind. If I can locate other Mandalorians, they can guide me.
This is no place for a child.
Wherever I go, he goes.
The Mandalorian, new season now streaming only on Disney+.
This morning, with so much at stake, get real-time answers, real-time results, what you need to know with the most trusted team in politics on ABC's Good Morning America.
Breaking news right now, the presidential race tightens in Arizona with new results just in. Former Vice President Joe Biden still leads there with hundreds of thousands of votes still to count. If Biden wins Arizona and Nevada, where he is also leading, he wins the presidency.
As we wait to find out who will ultimately win the White House, what we do know is that moving forward, the president has a lot of work to do in reuniting the country.
Just hours ago, our Powerhouse Political Roundtable weighed in.
What did not happen, what was supposed to be a wave, ended up being a trickle. It did not happen in the sense of the Senate, the House, state houses. There was like a discussion of about 5 state houses flipping. So that did not happen.
We didn't have any wave. We had an undertow. That's what we had. We had an undertow. You're adding Republicans to the House of Representatives. The Republicans are keeping the Senate. We added a governorship last night in the Republican Party. And we flipped state houses at a time when redistricting is going to come. Those are all good things for the Republican Party moving forward. Whatever happens with the president, and while that would be a disappointment to Republican voters all across the country if it turns out to be that Vice President Biden's elected, there's a lot of good news for the Republican Party across the country from last night. So I'll just say one other thing, George. It's not a rejection of Republican policies if, in fact, you win everywhere else except at the top of the ticket.
I don't like the president. I don't like what he's done to the country, to the core and the character of this country. But it's purely stepping away and looking at politics. For 3.5 years, he said, I'm not moving 1 inch off of my base. And there are 25 million people that act like Trump voters, and I'm going to get them to show up. He did it. Now, to the Democrats' credit, we happen to nominate somebody who could actually measure and counter that. And that's what happened. To Trump's credit, he produced something he said he would do that everybody said was not possible without going beyond your base.
It always will be part of Donald Trump's party. Part of it will always be Donald Trump's party. And in fact, in many ways, he's expanded the party into areas to make our party more competitive than we were in other places by inspiring the voters that Ron was talking about to come out. And then it's going to be the job of the next generation of the party, if the president is not reelected, to try to keep those folks while expanding it even further to try to win. In terms of the president's attitude, I said, I've known him for 20 years, George. I think he will fight to the end. I don't think this is one where, at least in the near term, and by the near term I mean the next couple of weeks, I don't think he'll just throw up his hands and say, all right, it's over, unless some of the results become overwhelming. If he's behind by 150,000 in Pennsylvania, that might change.
And many are asking this morning, where will that fight take this country that is already deeply divided?
Multiple lawsuits have been filed, and Chris Christie is right. The president has vowed that he will fight until the end. The rhetoric that he's using is that he believes the election is a fraud. He mentioned yesterday that millions of ballots would appear out of nowhere. Of course, the next day there were ballots, but those were the mail-in ballots that were being counted. He has asked for the vote count to stop, but a lot of governors and elected officials are saying that every vote will be counted.
And more developments sure to come today and definitely tomorrow as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source from ABC News. Breaking news, live events, streaming nonstop. Original breakthrough storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, and it's all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you.
ABC News Live.